Hey YouTube, way back in 2011 we got DM1, which was a really pretty drum machine that had some issues in its initial release, but it was a really kind of inspiringly beautiful drum machine app, and it was one of the first, and it progressively got increasingly more and more useful. And now the original developer and artist behind DM1 has split off to do his own thing and has presented DM2. And unlike DM1, which was sample-based, DM2 is entirely synthesis-based. So you know I was all over this one. And I'm looking forward to showing you this. Let's get right into it. Give me some drums here, and I'll start off with a kick. I'm not positive, but I think that it gives you kind of a generic like randomness on each thing every time you make a new song, but it doesn't matter because I'm going to change it all immediately. So I really like, I'm going to go for kind of like this, I don't know, I'm in a funky sort of mood, so I'm going for like a space age funk thing, I don't know. But I love square waves on my kicks. And that's at a pretty good frequency right now. And we can play with the pitch of this by dragging this around. If you bring it low, you get this long slope, but it's only going up high a little ways. If I pull that back, it's a really nice thumpy kick. I'm liking that. The filter's cutting off the extreme low end, but I think it's not cutting off enough, so I'm giving it just a little bit of resonance. That's probably too much. I like to shape everything else past 60 down, because I want it to thump, but I want it to be clean when it's played through headphones. And we can also change the length of the whole thing with this. That's pretty good. That's super easy to make a square wave, right? You usually want to either use a sine, which gives you a little bit more of a natural feel, but I like the square for crunchy digital sound. And let's switch now into a snare and a couple of snare hits. If you've seen any of my other videos, I love playing with a ring modulator on snares because it gives you this kind of tinny, echoey vibe to it. Like in my mind, the best snares all have this little bit of a hollowness to them that just really amuses me. And in this pitch modulation, we've got basically like a frequency modulator because this is like an LFO, right? At this rate, it's 1 hertz, which is fast enough to change the audio rate. But if you go way up, you get all kinds of interesting effects. So once again, I'm using a square wave, and I'm going to just play with this. I can lower the amount, the depth that it's playing with the pitch, and change the speed. So I'm just kind of playing around with this, trying to find a tone that I'm looking for. I mean, it's a really simple interface. I'm just listening to what I'm doing and playing around with it. It's amusing, but not quite what I'm going for. It's getting a little too high pitch there. Sounds like a bell being struck by a duck caller. That's not quite what I was looking for. Ooh, I'm liking this. I think I'm going to try playing around with this, the fundamental frequency. All right, so that's the basic kind of pitch and tone that I'm looking for, but it sounds a little too chiptune-y. So let me see if I can fuck around with this in the filter. Giving it a lot of resonance to get that hollow kind of sound. playing with the tail a little bit. I feel like I'm cutting off just a little bit too much there. If you hit the magnifying glass, you get a nice bigger view to play around with this, so I can tweak it a little gentler. You hear how up here it's starting to get really distorted? That's the resonance peaking too high. That's calmed. It's not sounding too shrill and bell-like, but it's also not sounding muddy like it was before. That is pretty good. Another whole section of this, though, is a noise section, which you can control with this. And noise is just noise. You've only got two options here. You've got a filter and an envelope, so you can make it go crazy long, which I'm not going to. And then you can shape the tone. And it's really easy to find exactly the frequency range that you're looking for if you just max it out and then find something roughly in the neighborhood that you're going for. Like that. And then bringing it down so it's less resonant and less peaky. All right, that's pretty good. Let's see how this blends with the synthesis elements. This tail is just a little too long on this. Let's hear them together. That's really good. I absolutely love it when things come together on video like that. All right, let's move on to the hats. Some people just use noise for hats, but I don't. Like, you can... let me throw in some hats here. I mean, like, I get that, because it gives you that shimmer that we get from a hi-hat. But I think that noise is a little fatiguing if you've had that as just like the main element of hats. So instead, let me start off with some synthesis. And remember, we were getting all kinds of weird sounds with... hold on, the envelope on that is all screwed up. We were getting all kinds of weird sounds with this LFO. And that's kind of good. Like... it's easy to shape something up just by bringing up the pitch on the fundamental and the modulator. But there's this other LFO that's like a noisy thing. And that actually sounds like a really good clap. If I was trying to make a clap, I'd be set, but that's not what I'm going for here. But it works like the LFO, where you've got the ability to change the amount that it's modulating and the speed that it's modulating at. Right, that's just giving me claps. There's an example of me screwing up on video. So let's see if I can get something good in here. I'm looking for like a tinny kind of belly thing, but a little bit messy. Because I don't want it to sound like a perfect bell. I want it to sound like a big plate of metal is getting smacked. It's kind of in the ballpark for the tone, but not the pitch. Let me see if I can screw with the filter and distortion. I was hearing something I liked, but I can't get right on it. No, it's getting too... Like it does sound more percussive down here, but it's getting a little too low. All right, I think that's what I was hitting before on accident. Now I've hit it on purpose. And let's give it some distortion. And once again, it's sounding a little bit more chiptune than I originally had in my head. But it does sound like a pretty good hat. Like, let's give it a different pattern here. Oh God, that's good. We could try adding some noise. Let's see. This is at 11,000 hertz, so let's try something up in that region with the noise. Bring down the resonance just a bit. All right, and let's try to mix this in. All right, that sounds really good. For the closed hat versus open hat now, we can just copy this and go over here and paste that in. And give this a longer tail here. Play with the mixer here. Now it sounds like the synthesis bit isn't really benefiting from that longer tail. It gets shrill at the end. So I could try lowering the tail on this to make that a little bit more obvious. Let me solo that. All right, that's a pretty good length for that, and this. You notice that the mixer here has got it way over in the noise section. Did I do that over here? Yeah. I'm actually feeling like it's not working as easily as it usually does. Like I just make one sound and then move it over in the open hats and drag it out. But in the whole mix, I guess that's working. Yeah. I'm going to move on here. So we already saw how to make claps, right? That was just we were doing that on accident here. They're using noise in this, but doing this noisy LFO thing pretty much instantly guarantees clappy sounds. But wow, that was loud. I don't actually like using claps in addition to snares, at least not in my music. So what I'm going to do is actually make this turn into my bass synth, but using the same kind of principle that they're using here, oddly enough. I drag this way down. Make it a triangle. I can use the same noisy. Oh, you know what? This LFO's not going to, or this filter there's not going to work well for that. All right, I got it wide open. We're hearing everything. When you take this really low, it's adding a little arpeggio. Now it's a very chiptune kind of arpeggio, but it's an arpeggio. You try to make an actual sort of sequence now. it is playing an arpeggio, but it's locked into this pitch because there isn't a way to change the pitch on a per note level. At least I haven't seen anything like that. But we can just copy this over because we still got plenty of slots here. If you wanted to play in another note, just paste it into another thing that you're not going to use for its intended purpose. And then filter to taste. All right, moment of truth. Does this suck? Those hats are really hot. There's effects in here too. I'm gonna give it a bunch of compression. And some reverb. This is gonna suck for a second as I try to figure out. Oh, that really sucks. Try to find a nice reverb. All right, bring that back down. Hey. This is fun. I'm happy with this. I hope you enjoyed this. Thank you very much to all my Patreon patrons for making these videos possible. Take it easy, folks. And if you want to get clever with this, you can reduce the length of the loop. So before it was a 4-note bar, and now it's a 3-note bar. Now it's a half bar. And making a dramatic change like that is fun. So by pushing that to 3 o'clock, it's like it was pushing this to about 12, I think. That's what it sounds like anyhow. It's about the same sound I was getting. We're getting different kind of textures down here in the low now.